All right. Hey YouTube, I'm Lucky, and this is your weekly Banshee God Rolled PSA. Okay, for this week in Destiny, Banshee unfortunately does not have any God Rolled weapons, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the weapons that he does have, the best ones, and the options that you might want to grab anyways. So first up is the 7 Seraph Officer Revolver. This is an S tier hand cannon if you get the right roll. I'll pull it up on light.gg here. You can see timed payload is best in slot here. By far, don't get anything but timed payload. The payload perk right here is actually a little bit kind of bugged, and it does way more damage than it should. It almost just acts like rampage. So it's really strong actually. So timed payload, best in slot here. It also works extremely well for stunning overload champions. Normally right now, when you shoot a hand cannon and overload, you have to shoot 3 bullets, and the 3rd bullet is the one that stuns them. With timed payload, you shoot 1 bullet, and then the 2nd bullet stuns them, which is why it's really important. Timed payload and explosive payload both work that way. So that's why that's best in slot for the 7 Seraph Officer Revolver. For PvE, for PvP, really no one's using these weapons in PvP, so we won't talk too much about the PvP role. And then Threat Detector, 4th time's the charm are probably the best perk in slot. No perk in this slot really stands out as being so amazing though. Ambitious Assassin, probably not too bad either. So that's the role you would be looking for. Unfortunately, the role Banshee has a Threat Detector and Osmosis. Now, Osmosis is kind of a quirky perk, but definitely not extremely effective. So unfortunate, not a god roll there. Now this Long Shadow has Snapshot and Triple Tap. Now keep in mind, Triple Tap is the best perk in slot for the Long Shadow. So that is nice for this Banshee roll. But the only problem is that what you need in order to get Triple Tap to proc an extra time is you need a magazine perk. So you need like appended mag, extended mag, something to give it additional bullets in the magazine to make Triple Tap proc just 1 extra time. And unfortunately, this has drop mag, it's steady round, so that definitely greatly diminishes it as being a good roll. Unfortunately, it does have Triple Tap though, so if you need a Triple Tap sniper, it's not half bad. It'll actually be decent in PvP too, because it does have Snapshot, so keep that in mind. The real god roll though is for PvE, and that's going to be Field Prep. Triple Tap is going to be the best roll in my opinion. That's going to be a really solid roll for you in PvE. I've used that one for a long time until I got my god roll Succession. So next up is the Wishbringer. If you don't know, the Wishbringer was a weapon I sought after for so very long because it has a unique role with Slide Shot Opening Shot. It was the first shotgun in Destiny 2 to get Slide Shot Opening Shot. Now we have, you know, Winter's Lie, we have Astral Horizon, those high impacts with this, but back in the day, this was the first one, and I could never get that roll. So that is still the roll for PvP though, because that's going to make this thing so strong, so good. This archetype is the fast fire rate though, the 140 RPM, and these are not anywhere near the meta right now. You still want to use the high impacts in my opinion. Being able to one-shot people's shotgun is more valuable right now, so keep that in mind. And then as far as PvE goes, everyone's using slug shotguns right now, so honestly you wouldn't really want to use this in PvE, but if you did, I mean, Field Prep Rampage is not bad, I guess, so that's actually not a half bad roll you've got here, but honestly no one's really using those in PvE, so I would not recommend grabbing that roll and using it in PvE. Maybe you just let it collect dust in the vault if one day they do get buffed. Next up we have the Truth Teller Grenade Launcher. Banshee had a god roll last week for this, and what you're definitely looking for on these is you can go Spike for extra damage, or you can go Blinding. I personally am a big fan of Blinding. Use these blinding nades, especially in Grandmasters right now. All these red bar ads, they can like one-shot you, right? But if they're blind, they can't one-shot you. So I've been using a Slide Shot and Blinding Grenade Launcher. The Truth Teller cannot roll that, but it can get Blinding and like auto-loading, or you can go Blinding, auto-loading, maybe Demolitionist with that. In this slot, there's not really anything that synergizes well with auto-loading, but you could go Demolitionist with that. Or you can go Blinding, Field Prep, or Feeding Frenzy, and then use something like Multi-Kill Clip would be pretty fire in that slot, so keep that in mind. A few different roles that are good for that Truth Teller, but the role that Banshee has Field Prep and Disruption Break, and does not have any Blinding, so this is a terrible role. Feels bad. Next up, we're going to talk about the Bad Omens, and the Bad Omens is called the Bad Omens for a reason. It has to have the word bad in front of it to signify how terrible this rocket is. In its last slot, it can't roll Lasting Impression or Vorpal, so it's literally outclassed by like every other legendary rocket in the game currently. It has to roll Cluster Bomb as its best perk. Autoloading Cluster would be its best roll, but then it actually doesn't get Impact Casing if you notice here. Implosion Rounds, High Velocity, Black Powder, and Alloy Casing. So literally terrible. Bad Omens is trash, and this roll of course can only be trash because it can't even get a god roll. Like, it can't even get a roll that's viable in PvP or PvE. So keep that in mind. Don't use bad omens. And if you disagree with me in the comments below, feel free to let me know if you're a bad omens main with 10,000 kills on it. But this thing is terrible, and this roll is terrible. Last up, we have the Tarantula. So these linear fusion rifles haven't really been getting a lot of love, but they're actually not too bad. We've melted a few raid bosses with them. And in its last perk slot, there's really nothing that stands out as being too good for hitting a raid boss with. Obviously, you could use it for ad clear, but honestly, using your power ammo for ad clear is just like, you know, like that's not really efficient, right? Especially with things like Warmind cells and stuff like that in the game currently. Box breathing would probably be really good. I don't think it would reset fast enough for every single charge shot, but if it did, that would be fire. That may be mixed with liquid coils to slow the charge time down. That would be crazy. In fact, I would almost want to test that roll out because I haven't yet. But box breathing plus liquid coils, if it procced every single shot, could actually be really, really sick. Along with that, you'd probably just rock field prep for the god roll. Banshee's roll, however, has moving target and kill clip, so definitely not a very good roll. So unfortunately, no god rolls from Banshee this week. Nothing really too crazy. If I had to give some advice to a new light player out there, if you're like, this is your first week playing, definitely just grab this 7 Seraph revolver just to get used to it, because this is definitely going to be a weapon you're going to want to get later on. You could rock it with the long shadow and PvE. It's not going to be too bad. I mean, you could make Warmind cells with this thing, so don't think that it's like the worst hand cannon ever. You could start making Warmind cells, get used to that. Rock this triple tap long shadow. It's not too bad. And you got yourself a pretty decent, you know, PvE build. I would rock anything other than these as power weapons, though. But there you go. That's for the new Light Guardians. And that's a wrap on this Banshee PSA. Make sure to subscribe with notifications on if you want to stay up to date on all things Destiny 2. Smash the like button. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.